Hacksaw. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. Knowing it's the Hacksaw Hour. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. Knowing it's the Hacksaw Hour.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of the Hacksaw Hour. And of course, I could never do it without the man himself, Hall of Famer, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The Hacker, what's going on, bud?
Well, hello, Marcus. How's it going, buddy? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. It's been a minute.
I got to tell everyone, I kind of pulled a little rib on Marcus last time I saw, first time I ever met Marcus. We've been visiting over the podcast here for a while, got to know each other. Marcus got to know Deborah, got to congratulate him on his new baby. Long story short, first time I'm going to meet Marcus, we're up in Pittsburgh. What was the team, Marcus? You remember?
Is the Pittsburgh River Hounds.
Pittsburgh River Hounds, a soccer game. So Marcus, I think we're going to meet for the first time. So he says, I'll get there. I said, go ahead, get there, introduce yourself. I'll be glad to see you. So we're a little late, caught in traffic. There's a big crowd. Marcus is standing there with the River Hound people. I acted like I didn't know him. I came in, I said hello to this guy, hello to that guy. I'm like, hey, how you doing there, buddy? And the people from the River Hound are looking at Marcus like, who? And they're like, you know him? I'm like, no, Jim Duggan. What's your name? And Deborah's like, don't do that to him. I tried to get her to go along with it, man, but she wouldn't do it, man. But welcome to the Wrestling Rib family. That's a nice little harmless rib. But those people from the River Hound, boy, security was moving in on you. Oh, yeah, I know Hacksaw. I'm supposed to meet him here. Who is this guy? I don't know. Who the hell is this guy?
I've been there for 30 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I know Jim. I do his social media. And I was like, do you guys need proof? And they're like, no, we believe you. And they bring me in. And then as soon as Jim's doing that, I'm looking at the girl, and she's looking at me like, oh, my gosh, did I just get scared?
I don't know who the hell this guy is, but no. Well, and that was a fun time, man. That was my first. I've done a lot of minor league baseball, minor league hockey. That was my first minor league soccer game. It was a lot of fun.
It was cool. There were a lot of people there. You got to present the ball at the start of the game, which was really fun. And then, yeah, I mean, you had what they said, the old Hacksaw Jim Duggan had the longest line for anybody they brought in for a meet and greet. So man,
why'd you throw that old Hacksaw Jim Duggan in there, brother? I got feelings too.
I had to take you down a peg after that rib, Jim.
Bigger guys have bigger feelings. We have larger nerve endings. We actually hurt more.
And by the way,
and what a beautiful venue, that stadium, huh? Looking over Pittsburgh, the railroad trains were going by, the river boats, the city. It was a gorgeous time in Pittsburgh.
If you guys have never been to Highmark Stadium here in Pittsburgh, you got to go and check it out. Check out a River Hounds game. They also do other events down there, so go out of your way to go to Highmark Stadium. Jim is also kind enough. My daughter, as we've discussed here on the show, loves Jim. She does not know about pro wrestling at all, but she loves Jim Duggan, and he gave a wrestling buddy for Piper. I'll have to share the picture online, and she was so thrilled. It's been her best friend ever since, Jim.
Cool, man. That's great. Those wrestling buddies are neat, man. Of course, I heard you drew mustache on me and stuff before you gave it to her.
Well, after that rib, I got to get even with you somehow, pal. But look, we're going to have some real fun today, Jim, because we are picking up where we left off when we were last talking about 1993.
Right to work, Vince. Okay, let's go right to work, buddy.
That's it. Gotta get things moving here. It's the Hacksaw Hour. We've only got an hour. We got to wrap this thing. But yeah, we left off talking about you with Yokozuna. That's in your rearview mirror now, and you're moving on. And what you're going to do, Jim, is start a brief rivalry with none other than the showstopper himself, Shawn Michaels. You're going to get a shot at the Intercontinental title on Raw, and it's a match that you're going to win by count out, which will set up a lumberjack match the next week, which you're going to lose by DQ after interference from Mr. Perfect attacking Shawn. And they even have everybody dressed up as lumberjacks, so there's a real theme going on there. Pretty fun stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, but Shawn is up.
Well, sure. I do a lot of appearances at different buildings. We were just at a big civic center this past weekend, and I said, Shawn Michaels, he couldn't come here. His ego wouldn't fit in the building. Back in the day, Shawn was kind of hard to deal with, especially because I knew him as, when Shawn came through Mid-South. I was kind of the big dog there, and I thought I treated everybody kind of square, but when he went up to New York and I came up later on from when he was like acting kind of like an asshole, But
Really?
that's one of my deals. I said, Shawn Michaels may be one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the sport, but he can't fight a lick. I was up there beating my red-headed stepchild. Boom over here, boom over there, boom. Make it look believable, Duggan. I'm like, well, you want me to get down on my knees? I don't know, make it look believable. Jesus. I've had bigger lunches than Shawn back in the day. I cleaned that up. I usually say, hey, I'm taking a bigger.
Oh, bigger lunches. Yeah, it's a family show. No, you can say the other thing if you want to, but
No,
it,
I don't need that.
watching the match, man. Yeah, I mean, you were definitely the aggressor, and Shawn, he
Well,
had
I
his work
hope
to do
so.
with Shawn.
Gee, that's why when you work, it's harder working with a smaller heel. You're working with one man gang. You're working with Nikolai Volkov, and they're beating the hell out of you. The people are like, you're killing Hacksaw. They're killing you. Shawn Michaels is beating you up. They're like, well, hit him back, Hacksaw. you know, but Shawn, obviously one of the best there. He, arguably one of the what do you call it, Mount Rushmore guys.
Yeah.
He was a great entertainer. But we got that stomp in the foot from old Hacksaw down in Mid-South. I used to hold on to that top rope if you watch it and stomp the foot. And of course the knee went kick. Okay, might knock off that stomping.
Is that why you stopped doing it?
Yeah, you think, brother?
I didn't
And
realize you.
actually, I think I told you this one. That's why I quit. I used to dive and my finish, my 3-point stance. I'd slam the guy. I'd go over. I get in the 3-point stance. She get up. I dive and hit him with a 3-point stance. One time I stuck my left leg out toward the cartilage.
Ooh,
So of
man.
all the guys, Hulkster comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, Duggan." He says, "Why are you diving?" He said, "Just run through it." Not a
Save
bad
yourself
idea.
the bump.
3-point stance instead of diving, just run through.
It still works. And so
Yeah,
was
and
that
it's funny. It was Hulkster, the guy that told me that, and of course he's had so much trouble with his back and hip because every night, boom, he's dropping that big leg, and he's hurting.
he's had like a
Of
ton
course,
of back
who is it
surgery.
nowadays? Forget just hurting. It's good just to see somebody.
So
Yeah.
was it after you hurt your knee on the clothesline that's when you stopped stomping?
No, that was my second knee surgery on my left knee. I've had 4 knee surgeries total. Yeah,
Wow.
had 12 overall surgeries. Yeah,
One of the only
it's a
guys to
physical
fight.
business, especially you're on TV, you're in front of millions of people on TV, thousands of people at the arena. You got 2 big guys out there, you're flying around, man. People, I saw you missed a guy by that much, Hacksaw. Yeah, but you see, when I hit him by that much, brother, it goes both ways. You're out there throwing pretty live rounds.
Oh
And as
yeah.
we said before, you're always a phony wrestler until you go to court.
Step into the ring.
Yeah,
Those were the
10,
days
20,
long
30,000.
ago.
I'm going to sue you. I'm getting my money's worth. We're not done.
Oh yeah. So you shouldn't have
Back
said
in the
that.
day, nowadays, I pull a hamstring. I get off the chair quick. Are you kidding? That's why I was sweating that soccer game. Oh my God. Because, hockey is great. You drop the puck, baseball throughout the first pitch. Soccer, I was really sweating that one. But I
Rumor
just
had
had
it
to
they
hand
wanted
it to them. They didn't want me to kick nothing.
they wanted you to be a goalie. Yeah, with your big mitts. You would have been perfect for it.
Well, you know what they say, guys with big hands and big feet,
What's that?
big gloves and big boots.
Well, Shawn, he developed a reputation as being a little bit crazy, especially his days with the Rockers. Were you around when he was up to all of his crazy hijinks with Marty Jannetty?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. And they were so popular with women There was a hotel, especially in the Lavassier in Bossier City, which is right outside of Shreveport. So we do TV, and everybody knew the boys all stayed at the Lavassier. That bar was hopping, man. There was pimps and prostitutes, everything in between, people running for sheriffs. I mean, it was just all kinds of people in that bar. But the hotel, you could tell which room Marty and Shawn were in because they'd have a line coming down the room there. I said there, me and Doc, we look for the overflow. Hi, I'm Jim.
Some of the girls get bored while they're out there. Someplace to
Hey,
go.
they got bored. You're not kidding, brother. My board is long and hard.
Will travel.
Hey, but I'll tell you a good one though, because we're flying with Ronnie Garvin. Ronnie has his pilot license. He has his own plane, a little small little plane where you sit shoulder to shoulder. The pilot, him, and the two guys in the back seat are really jammed in. And so we've been flying around, and Shawn and Marty in the back, and I'm in the front seat with Ronnie. So we did like 2 or 3 shows wherever we were going. And then we went out, we partied hard that night, We're supposed to get up. Garvin, he's straight, like, we're going to leave at 6 o'clock. We're leaving at 6 o'clock. Everybody up and out in the car at 6 o'clock. I ain't waiting for nobody. So, of course, he goes down to the rockers room, knocks on the door. They haven't even started to pack, So he's like, well, I'll go get Duggan, he'll go down to my room. I'm laid out too. So now, if we finally get on the plane, he is pissed off, man. And we're in this little plane, and we get take off. It's like, guy's jogging next to you. Finally, we take off. We get up in the air, and Ronnie's like, meow. Oh, Ronnie, please, we're sorry. Oh, stop it, please. He punished us the whole trip. It was brutal. Thank God nobody got sick. It's amazing nobody got sick. I think we already puked up everything earlier before we got on the plane.
Man, absolutely crazy to think about stepping on a plane with one of the boys flying it. But like back in those days, it's like, hey, it saves you the trip, right?
Oh, and plus having ribbon you. People, you don't rib on planes. You're not supposed to go to the no dives and shit. That's a no-no, especially with a bunch of hungover friends. But it did make a huge difference, because I lived in Alexandria, Louisiana, and there was a little Pineville airport. And he would come in at night and he'd click something on his radio, and the lights would come on at the airport. He'd fly in, drop me off. Deborah would pick me up. We'd go home. And everybody would chip in for his gas and stuff. But yeah, he was losing money on that. So that didn't last a real long time, but lasted for a while.
Pretty good while it lasted. Save you guys a big
It was
trip.
good while all good things come to an end, brother. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Shawn, you're working with him here on Raw, and you mentioned it, the big size difference between the two of you. Did you ever imagine that a guy Shawn's size, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's maybe 6 foot tall at the most. Did you ever imagine him reaching stardom? Smaller than 6 foot?
I'm sorry, what was the rest of the question?
Did you ever imagine
plus,
a guy?
Shawn used to give me a hard time with the eye kicking off, because I was cross-eyed my whole life, as we talked before. Dr. Gayton and Warren Robs in Georgia straightened my eyes after a lifetime of being blind. Cockeyed Dugan, cockeyed Dugan. And, and of course, Shawn, heartbreak kid. Now Shawn's eye kicks off worse than mine used to. I'm like, come on, let's get a picture together, Shawn. Come here, buddy.
And now you're like the dreamboat of the two. Yeah.
Thanks very much, brother. They call me Jim. That's spelled Gem.
But yeah, small guy. Would you say he's under 6 foot?
Yeah.
Wow.
But a lot of guys are under 6 foot, even back in the day, yeah. That's something to appeal to everybody. You have a pretty boy, you have a musclehead, you have a mask guy, you have a wild man. Back in the day, you'd have a midget and a hot blonde, like the circuses in town. But
It's like a
yeah,
pup.
and Shawn was great entertainer. I mean, shit. And that's what I tell kids now. They want to be a wrestler. I said, well, great. Chase your dreams. But remember, everybody in the camp or the school or wherever, the academy, can take a backdrop. Got to have a character. Got to have some ring presence. It doesn't matter how well of a drop kick you give. Train all the drop kicks you want. Work in front of a mirror. Work on facial expressions. Work on your interviews. Forget that in ring work. Everybody can do it. You know what the hell? You going to come up with something new? Drop their head. I got it up. Here we go. Something new. You know, I busted this out my 44 Magnum. This is the one I had on my home intruder, you know. And
Yeah.
of course, I told him, don't move or I'll shoot you. You know, I wish I could have got to make my day. But I tell you what, this is more what the boys carried right here.
Oh, okay, a little one.
Yeah, this is a 22 Magnum Derringer, 2-shot Derringer. And this would fit in your bag, fit in your car nice and easy. And people say, well, it's a horrible gun to have in a gunfight. I said, it's a great gun to have in a knife fight. So
Perfect.
it's, this is what more guys carry. Everybody wants the big heavy duty caliber, but something like this was more likely in the boys' bag back in the day.
Something you can conceal and like, yeah, like, you know, a lot of the
And
guys
not, you don't want to carry that around. Yeah, just because people, if you were a heel, people hated you. You know,
Yep.
it's not nowadays. Sports entertainment. I mean, when you would walk to the ring, they spit at you and punch you and throw shit at you. And you know, if you all the bad guys, we'd all walk to our car together. It was a hot angle. You know, you wouldn't go to a bar by yourself. It was a different time in the business. So a lot of guys that have something like that stuck in their boot. Not me, of
And
course.
well, you wouldn't need it. You had your 2x4.
Oh shit! You'd be surprised, brother. Numbers.
Oh
We've
yeah.
been in some sticky situations over the years. One of the best ones, Marty Jannetty was getting beat up, and I pull up in a rental car and I jump out to kind of help him because he was well overnumbered. And the guy, I jump out, you know, I'm all, and the guy goes, "I'll get my gun, I'll get my gun." And he opened his door. I said, "Well, I'll get my gun, damn it!" I'm in a rental car, you know, I got a McDonald's bag under my seat.
Oh no.
Thank God he took off. I called his bluff.
Holy shit.
In other words, I'd be like Knobs. Oh, he's got a knife.
I forgot about Knobs getting
Might have
stabbed.
got that on the first stab, Knobsy.
Why did Knobs get stabbed again? What did he do?
No, this is from back in the day. Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
I always joke him about that. You know, they hit him 3 or 4 times, and he's like, "Oh, he's got a knife."
Jake says it was like 2 weeks before that. He was like annoying Jake or something, and Jake was like, you know, one of these days somebody's gonna stab you for being such a pain in the
Yeah,
ass. And then
yeah,
2 weeks later, he got stabbed.
yeah. It was
Um,
only a 4-inch blade, so he was okay.
yeah, he's fine.
Big Knobs.
Well,
I love him. One of my good friends.
I've been around him a couple times. He's such a sweet human being now, and I wasn't around him back in the day. Maybe a different situation, but no, it always seems like a good guy.
Yeah, but
Um,
back to Shawn. Those guys were doing the two. Was that the Too Sweet time when they were kissing fingers and stuff?
well, actually, so a couple guys that he's going to go on to become really good friends with come into the company at this time. So Scott Hall was already there, but now Kevin Nash is going to come in as Shawn's bodyguard right during this era, and he's going to be given the Diesel gimmick. Kevin, big, impressive, handsome guy, kind of looks like he's tailor-made for wrestling. What did you think of him when he came in the door there at the WWF?
Well, first they were coming in. I don't know if that was when the Too Sweet deal. Everybody's doing the finger kiss and the Too Sweet stuff. And I said, if anybody calls me sweet and tries to give Hacksaw Jim Duggan a finger kiss, I'll punch him right in the nose.
So safe to assume you
Finger
weren't
kiss
part of the
my
Kliq.
ass. It's a thumbs up, brother. Oh, here we go. USA!
USA!
God, he's still in here with me, man. I'm 70 years old. Look, it pops out.
So get your ring
Rough at
gear
a
ready,
movie,
Jim.
though, I'll tell you.
You and I are going to team up on the Indies. Get your ring gear together. We'll do it again.
Indies, brother. We're AEW, man. We're calling the big leagues, Brian. Caps and sleeves, kid.
I'm ready, brother. But yeah,
Yeah, no, like Duggan, hold on. It's like a stripper asking you to wait out back to after the show. It's 4 a.m. It's not over yet.
Incredible. But no, it's Kevin Nash, like great look, big guy. Did you feel like they he had this massive potential? I mean, to be fair, he was green as goose shit at the time.
Yeah, no, plus he fit into the group. Like I said,
Yeah.
everybody could take a backdrop, but he had more than that, man. You could tell. And just he's an imposing person. You know, I didn't get along very well with Kevin Cutback. I didn't get along with Razor, and I didn't get along at all. Shawn and I, that's what I said. The guys I didn't get along with, Triple H, Shawn, and Stone Cold. The guys I got along with, Terry Gordy, Dr. Death, and Piper.
Now, what was it about Hall, Nash, HBK that like rubbed you the wrong way?
Well, that Kliq was a Kliq. You know, it was like Mean Girls in high school, brother. It was and they realized they had the power, and they were good. Shit, you can't deny them, man. You can pull that shit if you're that good, and they were good as can be, man. They hard to. Of course, I never spent much time around. You know, we run in different circles for sure. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time with them, and I'm sure Shawn probably wasn't really happy working with me back then, to tell you the truth. I think it was one of the first shows at the Manhattan Center in downtown New York for Raw. I think one of them, not both of them.
Yeah, both very early shows on Raw. Both of
And
them
even
were.
though he won, it's one of those things Brody taught me years ago. He says, it doesn't matter if you get your hand raised, get your stuff over, you know? So I could get beat 1, 2, 3 in the middle. I'd grab my 2x4. I'd chase the bad guy out of the ring. I'd hit the timekeeper. I'd run the referee around. Oh, USA! Who won that match?
Yep, doesn't matter. You were
Doesn't matter.
super
Well,
over with.
I love some guys like, what's your record?
Who cares?
I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be a long night, brother.
Yeah, really. No, it's if people are keeping track of wrestling records, they're watching for the wrong reasons. No,
Yeah.
not quite what it's about. Well, yeah, I was gonna say a lot of people, view Kevin Nash as like a politician behind the scenes. So I mean, like, you didn't have a ton of interactions with him. You just like his reputation kind of preceded him.
So I was there when Sags beat up Hall.
Yes.
And Nash, I was in the dressing room because I was in the net dress. I ran with the Nasties back then, and I was in their dressing room when Hall came in, and he did cut a promo, but he didn't make a move on nobody.
Oh, okay. So he came in pissed
Mark,
off, acting like he was ready for a fight.
Mark. Okay.
We did
Not a
hear
whole lot happened, man. If shit was going to happen, ask Matt Bourne. He came in. Mark, you motherfucker, you want to go?
Now, how do you
No
think
need for promos in the real world.
Yeah, you come in and fight if you're ready to fight.
Back
right?
in the day, man, if it's not off, it's on.
Now,
that's when Matt came in. It ain't over, Duggan. Well, here's Johnny.
Now, do you feel like the Nasty Boys would have done okay against a guy the size of Kevin Nash? I know they're badass, but Nash is just huge.
Yeah. It's size and strength. It's like me fighting Tony Atlas back in Legend House. Muscles don't mean shit to me. Weights don't fight back. Hacksaw Jim Duggan does. It's a whole different deal. And I know, but Nash is a tough man, but Sagsy, he's a tough guy too. Yeah. And Nobsy, he'd get in the way. He'd take a lot of the incoming. He'd be like Cannon Father, attack, Nash would be wearing him out, and Sags would get his in.
I guess that's pretty
Got a
useful.
sacrificial limb. Here's Nobsy.
Knobs could be like a
He
distraction.
doesn't have a knife. It's okay.
That's great. Well, the other guy coming in, not sure if you get along with him or not, but he would become part of the Kliq. It's the Lightning Kid. Sean Waltman is coming in the door, and he's about to be renamed the 1-2-3 Kid. Good relationship with Sean?
We worked together a few times, but again, that was part of the Kliq, and I was not part of the Kliq. So it was, Kliq, non-Kliq.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't even part of the non-Kliq guys. I was the next rung down. Yeah, I get along good now with Sean, and we worked okay together. But like I said, he was actually part of that Kliq, and that Kliq was that was true to life, brother. And hard to get in, and if you were on the outside, you were definitely on the outside.
Yeah, apparently they had an awful lot of influence over the office and some booking decisions and stuff
Well, they
like
should.
that.
They were good. I mean, they were drawn. They
Mhm.
they were good. Yeah. I mean, Sean made sure that he called me kid up in New York when I
Really?
came up from Mid South. Yeah. He said I'd be like, okay, kid, or something, just a little Iggy. But
Okay,
yeah,
just a little jab at you.
eagle.
I mean, was it one of those things where you kind of give him a little Iggy back, or is it just like whatever, let it go?
Yeah, I just let it go, man. Shit. Yeah, my deal is everything's cool or we're going. Deborah's the one for in between. Oh, hey folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan from the Golden Age of Wrestling. And if you're in New Orleans, especially down in the French Quarter, let me recommend Witches Brew Tours. They have vampires, they have voodoo, they have cemetery, all kinds of tours. Something for everybody. Witches Brew Tours, the French Quarter. Tell them Hacksaw sent you, tough guy. It'll scare the whole out of you.
Sean Waltman, what a big departure from the typical wrestler of the era, from the standpoint of size, physique. I mean, Sean looked like he was maybe 180 pounds, soaking wet, probably about 6 feet tall. And Brett wasn't a typical Vince guy either, but he had already been champion, would win the King of the Ring tournament here in '93. Shawn Michaels, obviously, another small guy. So, like, did you take notice of the fact that Vince was starting to go a little bit smaller and more athletic with a lot of the guys that he was pushing?
What do you mean by more athletic?
Well, how about more
Oh, no,
flippy?
that's all right. No, well, there was a trend. The trend is going more flying. A lot of guys are, flying more.
Yeah.
Jimmy Snuka was the first guy to be jumping off the top ropes. It's like Circus Soleil. Boom, 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 boom. But that's what people like. I mean, and it evolves, and the pendulum will swing back the other way. Nowadays, imagine going out there and grabbing a headlock.
Oh my gosh.
1001, 1002, boo, boring, boo.
Oh yeah. They'd boo you out of the building nowadays.
Yeah, but
I don't know
everything
if you're a
changed.
heel, maybe it
Everything
works.
changes. Get a lot of folks go, "Oh, that was a great time of wrestling. I like the old days." Everything changes, and it's still popular. But there'll be 200,000 people at Mania.
You can't argue with the numbers, man. It's they're doing something right. But at King of the Ring 1993, you'd put over Bam Bam, and even though you still had a lot more matches in store with the company, as we're gonna discuss here, this would make the final pay-per-view match of your first run with the WWF.
That was
Bam Bam.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
that was like a big sign saying goodbye, Hacksaw.
Yeah,
When Bam Bam beat me, I knew I was on my way out. Yeah.
he's one of those guys that I hear a lot of mixed things about. Some people again really love him. Some people have not kind things to say about Bam Bam. What did you think of him and his work?
Yeah, we worked well together. I like working with big guys. I like working with Sean and stuff, or 1-2-3 Kid. Working with Bam Bam and guys like that, I enjoyed more. But yeah, we had good matches. Had very little interaction. Said hello to each other. I don't even think he played cards.
Whoa.
Mortal Sin back in the day. Holy smokes! One of these days I got to bring out. I kept one of the brackets, all the names of all the guys that were in the. Sergeant Slaughter used to make these elaborate brackets, and if you lost, you went into a loser's bracket, and because at a pay per view, you're here all day. And we'd play a lot of cards, man. And I won like 2 tournaments, so I got 2 of them. One of my favorite keepsakes, because like Mr. Fuji, Andre the Giant, Arnie Skolin. I mean, just everybody and even guys that didn't know how to play cards wanted to get in on it. So it was fun. But
What
I
was
told them
the
they wouldn't let us play cards. They wouldn't let us play cards anymore.
because it was people you were like missing your cues and stuff, right?
Yeah, shit. You'd be back there, be like, dun, 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 dun. Is that my music? Oh shit, that's my music. Where's my 2x4? Oh,
Now, what was
and I
your
told you that one time I had the cards in my knee pads. I dropped a big knee. Cards like a magic trick.
you
I
put
came
the
back
heat
to
on your
CJ
opponent?
Strongbow. Duggan, where'd those cards come from? Somebody must have threw them in the ring, Chief. I don't know.
What was the game you guys played in this tournament?
Gin.
Gin.
Yeah. I tell that story when they bring the snake in. The cobra. Everybody's like, big cobra, cobra, smobra. Gin. That's before the cobra stood up. And then they stood up. Everybody like, oh shit, that's a cobra.
um, you were around for Bam Bam's first run with the company from '87 to '88, and rumor has it he had a lot of heat behind the scenes during that time. Can you tell us about that?
He had heat with the worst guy in the world that you want to have heat with. Andre the Giant, man.
Oh no.
Yeah, Andre didn't like him, no, and they worked together. I'm pretty sure it was MSG down at the Madison Square Garden, New York City. And Andre, I mean, he wasn't beating the shit out of him, but he's just being heavy with him, you know. About 500 pounds, he could squash you. That
Yeah.
was my big spot. He'd squash me in the corner, and I'd duck out. That would be my comeback spot. I'd duck out, and he'd hurt his back. But he could actually squash you. That was tough because he'd have you by the throat, and he'd be choking you. You'd be down on your knees, and you'd be looking up at him, and now he's kind of weaving around, doing the wobble weeble, but won't fall down. And you're like, holy shit. If he falls forward, I'm dead. I mean, you're going to break my back, shit. But he chased, Bam Bam rolled out of the ring, came back through the curtain, put his stuff in his bag, and left. Boom. Didn't
And
take a
that was it.
shower or nothing, just left the garden.
Wow. So, I mean, was it just his attitude, or what do you think made Andre
I,
hate him?
I pretty much stayed out of that one.
So probably a good move.
Yeah. I think I let that one go. Yeah. No, yeah, I was doing my own deal. Yeah. And looking like I talked to you before, I wish I was more business oriented back in the day and paid more attention to what was going on. Try to work the office a little bit. I've never been to Vince's house. I've never been to Bill Watson's house. The guy's my
Oh,
boss, not my friend. So yeah, my one regret, shoot, the third page of regrets. But if I was more business oriented, I wish, and I just talked to my good friend Terry Taylor, man. He had reminded me of a story. It's way out of anything else. You want to talk about it now or later, Marcus?
no, absolutely. Let's talk about it.
When I wrecked the Lincoln, I don't think we talked about that before
No,
on the rainy night. Oh God, this is great.
I'm psyched. All right.
We're in Little Rock. It's a cold, rainy night. We got to go to New Orleans. It's a long drive. So Junkyard Dog is supposed to ride with me and Magnum TA. Dog's like, I ain't going to this rainy, cold night. You guys should spend the night. And we're like, no, we're going to at least drive down to Alec, break the trip up Alexandria, go about halfway. So it's me and Magnum in this big red Lincoln Town car, and Dr. Death Steve Williams and a girl are following us in their car, and we're heading south on the main road between Little Rock and Shreveport. Anyway, we're driving, and all of a sudden we get on a bridge, and it's nothing but ice. So we're like, boom! I hit one side of the bridge. boom, hit the other side. We're going back and forth. Me and Magnum are talking through the whole thing. Like, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. You okay? Oh, yeah, boom, boom. So now the car is like this on the south side of the bridge. So Doc and the girl, thank God, they drive south of the accident and they get out. So we're looking at my new car, my new Lincoln Town car.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I don't know. You think it's totaled? I don't know. Anyway, good Magnum, Doc's gone, but Magnum's still around. He can co-sign the story. Anyway, so Doc and Magnum, they start walking south on the bridge to stop traffic. I start walking up the whole length of this long bridge to stop traffic. All of a sudden, it's rainy, cold, foggy, icy night. Here comes an 18-wheeler. Doc and Magnum are like, stop, stop. It goes blowing by them. The town car is parallel. 18-wheeler goes over the top of the town car. Doc and Magnum were telling me, because I'm on the bridge. After I turn around, holy shit! I turn back. I'm running down the bridge, man. It doesn't even slow down. The 18-wheeler goes over the top of the town car, falls down on its sides, and keeps coming. It's like Terminator, and I can feel it. I can feel it catching me, and I'm running. Fuck it, and I jump off the edge of the bridge.
Whoa.
You can't write this shit, right? I jump off the edge of the bridge, I hit the bank, and I roll into the water. Boom. The truck crashes past me, right? So Doc and Magnum and the girl, they think I'm dead. They know I'm dead. They're screaming, Duggan, 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 where are you? Duggan, Duggan. And I'm in shock. I'm like, shit, I'm here. And, as they come down, they pull me out of the river. Boom, and I lost my glasses and my boots and stuff. And then now the truck, it's on the side. So me and Doc climb up on the cab of the passenger side. We pull the passenger side open, and the guy's sitting there. We're like, you all right, brother? You all right? You okay? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. I don't know if he was in shock or what. We're like, come on, get the fuck out of it. So we pull him out. And now me and him, we go north of the wreck. Doc and Magnum run back south of the wreck. So I got him, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. We're sitting on the guardrail, and I got my head in my hands going, oh my God, what else could happen? And way off in the distance here, and another truck's coming. I'm like, oh. So I tear my shirt off. Now I'm running down the street with no shoes on, no socks. Stop, stop. He stops. Now every truck that comes up is like, arr, arr. So of course here come all the cops come. Well, something I never knew, they carry hot asphalt in a tanker truck. So that it was a tanker truck that crashed and it spilled over. All the hot asphalt poured onto the bridge.
Oh.
So not only did I wreck a brand new Lincoln Continental, an 18-wheeler tanker truck, I closed the main artery between Little Rock and Shreveport for like 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
And in the meantime, you've got to be soaking wet in the freezing cold.
Oh
right?
my God! Yeah. Oh, of course, the cops they locked me up. They found some marijuana seeds and shit in the car. And the state trooper, boom, they threw heat. And he's like, arrest him. And the local cop's like, Hacksaw Duggan. Like, I'll ride with him. But the DA said, yeah, there's nothing, threw it out. And they gave me a ticket for too fast for weather conditions.
Oh my gosh, man.
So make sure you have insurance, brother.
The holy smokes.
I had trouble getting insurance after that for a while, I'll tell you that. But yeah, Magnum, Terry Magnum, he was talking to Magnum about it. That's what made me think of it. Not to get off track, but to tell you.
That was great. And that's one of the things I love about this podcast is like, we'll start on a subject, but I don't know where we go. And I love that about this. My brother Dominic does a podcast with Magnum TA. I'm going to have Dominic show him this clip so that Magnum can comment on it. I think that would be really great.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because Doc, God, we lost Doc, God bless him. And thank goodness they drove south of the accident. They were behind us, but after we crashed, they still went south because the truck came this way. If they were sitting the girl would have got killed. She would have been sitting in the car. She would have got killed. And yeah,
Man,
yeah, Magnum will tell the story. Yeah.
when they do the life
They
story
get-
when they do the life story movie of Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I want that scene of you running down the bridge and jumping over. That's gonna be something else.
Yeah, and Magnum, he knows a story of me being on the hood of the car. Ricky and Robert tell the story. Their first time in Mid-South, a truck tried to run over me. And the guy hit Magnum in the head with a pipe. Where in Little Rock, Arkansas, there was a fight in the parking lot, right? And I was late getting to it. Anyway, somehow Magnum, guy came up behind Magnum, hit him with a pipe, split his head open. So Magnum's chasing this guy, right? I'm in the parking lot. A guy in a pickup truck comes by. I ended up on the hood of the pickup truck. He drove around the parking lot, slammed on his brakes. I went off. I took the windshield wiper with me. Landed, did a little shoulder roll like the old days, man, and he took off. But yeah, Ricky and Robert, Ricky, I just saw Ricky telling that story on a podcast. It was his first night in Mid-South. And Magnum gets hit with a pipe. He's standing there, truck goes by, I'm on the hood.
He's like, what am I doing in this
Welcome
territory?
to the company.
Absolutely. Like, it was seriously the Wild West back in the day when
It
you
was
guys were on the road.
wild, bro. That's
See, that's why you got to keep the heater on you.
yeah. Good to have
My
a little
goodness.
something somewhere.
My goodness. Well, thank you for that story, Jim. That is one hell of a story, and I can't wait for
Yeah.
Magnum
And
to
Magnum
react.
can run with it too for a while. And if you see Ricky, get him to do the hitting up on the hood of the truck.
You better
I've
believe
ducked a
it.
lot
Yes.
of bullets. That's why these health issues nowadays, I don't do nothing. I've thrown the dice so many times. I feel like I'm doing this deal. 1, 2, oh!
More
Or
lives
Monty
at a cat.
Python. Hey, Monty Python, bring out your dead. Not dead yet.
Man, incredible.
Right, I sat next to Greg this past time. I went over and checked his pulse.
Valentine, did he fall asleep?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was good. It was Ricky the Dragon, me, and Greg. It was a nice little group this past weekend.
And by the way, while we're talking about you making appearances, before we continue the story here, Jim, where are you off to this weekend? Or what's your next appearance?
Lakeshore Chinooks.
Yes.
It's a baseball game up in Wisconsin. Where they're playing Green Bay minor league baseball. Minor league baseball is so much fun. They have mascots. They have T-shirt giveaways. They have skits. They have the kids run the bases. Music. It's a lot of fun, man. I enjoy it. But like I said, you got to throw out the first pitch.
Yep.
And they usually have some contest winner, like 13-year-old Johnny Smith is throwing out with Hacksaw. Here goes Johnny. All right, Hacksaw, throw it out. Everything's broke.
As long as you can make it to the plate, it's
Just
good enough.
better than what that 50 cents or whoever threw it off in the dugout. But I usually get it kind of close. Throw it high. That's the secret.
There it is. Lob it over there. That's a smart move.
That's why I was sweating the soccer game. I was like, holy shit.
Well, another newcomer is a guy you'd be working with following your extended issue with Yokozuna, and that's Mr. Hughes. Jim, do you remember working with Curtis Hughes?
Yeah, I sure did. I got along okay with Curtis. He was a good guy. Yeah, and we worked well together. You know, I just think anytime they could have kept me with any anti-American type guy, I think would have worked well. But Hughes, he was another big enough man to physically challenge you. But which I enjoyed. I enjoyed working with the big guys, and we had a good rapport. He wasn't part of the Kliq.
And
Did I do little air things? Holy shit! No, I'm part of the Kliq.
I think you're in now, Jim. Oh no.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Was that a shot?
Oh no, never, Jim. Never. It's
Wrestler's
interesting.
honor.
Which I can say now. I'm working as a wrestler. he's coming in the door and he's doing some jobs for you right out of the gate, which I found interesting because it's like usually the new guy tends to go over to establish himself a little bit. But Hughes had started with the company March of '93. By August, he's gone out of the company. Did he have heat? Like you're going over against.
It's just hard to stick around, brother. That's what I tell kids. There's, I don't know, 900 NFL football players, 300 NBA basketball players. There's maybe 50 WWE, 25 guys that are making money. I mean, it's a television show. It's more competitive than sports, and it's the best of guys in the world. And it's just not kids from America. You got kids from Japan, Australia, Europe. Everybody wants one of those 40 spots. Like I said, and everybody can take a backdrop, and everybody can work pretty darn good. So you got to have a little something. It's not like football where if you bench 500 pounds and run a 3.540 and squat 1,000 pounds, you've got a good chance of making it. And there's no combination. I mean, I've never gave Daniel Bryan a chance. I said, there's not a chance in hell that kid's going to make it. Guy out there works hard, guts desire, guts the ring. Yes. Everybody in the arena. I mean, shit. Yeah. So, but I tell kids, they say, Hacksaw, you got any advice for me? I said, yeah, get golf clubs. I said, that's where the money's at, the hook for no backdrops involved.
Well, the other big piece of news from this period is what appears to be Lex Luger's push as seemingly the next big star of the company. He'd win the Stars and Stripes Challenge by slamming Yokozuna on July 4th, 93 on the USS Intrepid. Jim, what did you make of the whole thing with Lex Luger?
That was like a big, huge sword stabbing me in the heart. I felt like a fish out of water. I was flopping around, man. I was like, holy shit. It's an Intrepid. It's a big, huge helicopter. It's Yokozuna that I had to really work my ass off just to knock off his feet. Lex gets off, jacked up Lex with red and white and blue and all kinds of fancy dance stuff on. And boom, he crushes Yoko. I'm like, well, I might be looking for a job. But you know what? With all the bells and all the whistles, nobody in our business, or very few, have carried the flag like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Because it wasn't because some promoter said, hey, Hacksaw, why don't you carry the flag? It's because I made the decision that I want to honor our flag, and I wanted to carry Old Glory all over the world. And that's why I carry, and that's why the gimmick worked. People, well, that's a hell of a character. And then I ain't a character. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is Jim Duggan. It's the deal. So, yeah, Lex, anybody else, put Hogan under a red, white, and blue mask, the Patriot, whoever you want to go out there, let them yell USA. Put Hacksaw Jim Duggan in the second turnbuckle with a flag up in the air, chanting USA, USA. It's coming from the fucking heart.
Absolutely, dude. There's a major, major difference between the way that we were seeing Lex Luger carry that flag and the way that Jim Duggan carried that flag. Luger,
I got a little fire up there, brother.
It was great. It was great, and it's true because I've come to know you here over the years, and I know you're a real patriot. And Lex Luger is like he was told.
Well, Lex is a good guy, and I'm sure he's honored to carry the flag, but that's their gimmick. No. That was a conscious decision that I wanted to carry. And when WWF first started going overseas, everybody's like, what are you going to do? That I'm going to carry our flag overseas, and I'm going to stand in the middle of the ring, and I'm going to chant USA, USA. So you guys ask JBL, because he was in Germany, and he comes back and he goes, I can't believe it. Everybody in the arena is chanting USA. Because even those folks know it wasn't they were chanting necessarily the USA, but I think they saw the passion. And they were with me on that. And many people couldn't believe I could chant USA. Nowadays, maybe not so much. But back then, I saw the Berlin Wall was still there. We went to Checkpoint Charlie. The Russians had their tanks pointed at us. It wasn't that long ago. People don't realize.
incredible. And I've seen the footage from these house shows in Europe, and every audience that I've seen you chant USA in front of chants it with you, no matter
They
what
get
country
with
you're
me. Yeah, they do amazingly, and I am humbled by it, and always give them a bow and thank you at the end of the matches, and it means so much. And Marcus, you were at this past week. People come up and talk to me. It's amazing. It's humbling the effects that wrestling has had on folks. They come up with pictures of their mom or their dad or their grandmom, and my grandma could do up with anything, but once wrestling was on,
Yep.
and it was a family affair, and that's why I love doing these personal appearances, as Comic Cons and stuff, and tell the folks. They come up and say, "Hey, thank you, Hacksaw." I'm like, "No, thank you, man."
Man, it was incredible watching you interact with fans here in Pittsburgh and getting to hear their stories, because I did get to hear people say, like, I used to watch, with my dad, and it's like stuff that, it's.
Yeah.
I tell Jake this stuff all the time too. Like, you guys kind of, for some people, become almost like surrogate father figures in many ways. Like, they look up to you and they look to what you have to say as, like, sort of their moral basis. So it's just a really cool thing to witness in person.
So it's amazing. Yeah, like I said, it's humbling, and it's of course not just in this country; it's around the world.
Yep.
Like I said, with the NFL guys, world champions. Where in the world do you boys go? Well, we went to London. I'm like, that's like going to the West Coast. You went to London.
Yeah, now
It says
Mexico.
nobody knows Tom Brady down in Christchurch, New Zealand, but they'll go, "Oh,
Yep.
I've got a
They know
couple of New
Hacksaw.
Zealand folks watching this podcast."
The interesting thing about Lex here in this position is he was sort of brought in to replace Hulk Hogan as, like, the guy, right? The big muscly baby face. But he, as you said, he ended up sort of being a replacement for Jim Duggan as well.
Yeah.
Which is, and that's not the only thing that he had heat for. Apparently, he was doing this thing, the Lex Express, where he's going around the country on a
Oh,
private
the
bus.
bus. Yeah, they put a lot of money into Lex and all that. And if you look, sometimes I got tape holding my flag on my flagpole.
Yeah,
They got the Lex Express and the helicopter and all that. I'm like, yeah, maybe they put just a little bit more into my character, but of course,
could have gotten
we've
over.
talked
Yeah,
before, yeah. But I don't see him ever replacing Hogan. Hulkster's. There's always somebody that can replace you, because back in the day, there'll never be another Bruno Sammartino. Boom, there's Hulk Hogan. There'll never be another Hulk Hogan. Boom, there is Stone Cold. There'll never be another Stone Cold. Boom, there's Cena. The
yeah.
business is bigger than any one talent. But yeah, I think Lex had trouble filling my shoes. There's no way he was going to fill Hogan's.
Oh, not even close filling your shoes. Like I said, it's like, he's coming out there with the flag, but man, what a different presentation he had. And like, I do want to talk about the Lex Express a little bit, because Jim, this is during a period when you guys were paying for your own rental cars. A lot of you were really struggling, sleeping in, terrible, shitty hotels along the way. And here's Lex. He's got his own private bus with a bed in it, and it's all paid for. Doesn't have to do any of that stuff. I mean, stuff like that has got to get you heat behind the scenes with the boys.
Well, how about your buddy you just got done talking to? Theodore DiBiase, the $1 million man. Holy shit. I can't go to New York. I don't have a gimmick. What am I going to be? I don't know. Jake the Snake, Junkyard Dog, Hacksaw Dog, and I'm Ted DiBiase. Let's see. Oh, how about the $1 million man? And of course, Ted would never give you this shit about being the $1 million man when you're working your way back to coach and he's sitting there in first class. Not that he'd ever give you the business, I wonder why you got potatoes so often. Now, there's a few guys like that, and the deal was, yeah, the bread wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I mean, as Bobby Heenan said, it's better than moving refrigerators at Sears. And, and plus it's what you did with it. A lot of guys thought they believed it, I learned in Mid-South when that's the red Lincoln Continental that was wrecked in the big, huge wreck.
Yeah.
I bought that. A week later, I won it in Shreveport at a battle royal. So Bill Watts knew I bought a new car. He says, "Hey, have I got a great idea? We'll put your car up. Winner gets the new car." I won my own car at a battle royal.
boy, boy, that's
Yeah.
something, huh?
I mean, I sold it. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like, yeah, it's a $10,000 battle royal. Shit.
And then it's in
There's
pieces
50
on a
people in
bridge.
the building. What the hell are you talking about? $10,000 battle royal. But some guys believe their own bullshit. They think it's going to last forever. You know what helped me is I had that big head when I was a football player. I said, well, I had that one year with the Falcons. I was getting paid, even though I was an injured reserve all season. I still got paid. And I'm like, oh shit! I got a credit card. I had my razor cut hair with gold chains. Disco Jim back in the '70s, right? And I ran up huge debt. And I learned a hard lesson. It took me a long time to dig out. So once I became a wrestler, one of the first things I did when I started making money was I bought a little starter home in Louisiana. And, instead of buying a Mercedes or a Rolex, maybe buy a little house.
Something you can
And,
put equity into.
it's like drugs. All these guys, like I said, I've been in the business 40 years. I never had to go to rehab for booze or drugs. Deborah and I have been together, 40 years. I put two daughters through school. If the guy struggles and becomes an asshole and has to go to rehab, all the booze and drugs and they kill him, that's his decision. It's not the business. There's a lot of success stories in our business. If the guys can't control themselves, I can't throw no stones. I never did any drugs. Shit, A to B, Z, A to Z, A to B. I wish it was just A to B. A to Z, man. I mean, it was the '80s. We were more like a rock and roll band than you were a sports team. Drugs were fun and sex wouldn't kill you.
It was part of
Again,
the
it's just a
the culture.
herpes. It's just herpes sore.
Part of the culture at the time. It was doing drugs and being like a
Yeah, but
maniac
no
out there on the
excuse.
road.
But don't say, well, the wrestling made me do it. If you get caught up in that, and the business led itself to that, though. Because you're in front of thousands of people, the place is rocking, you're out there chanting, everybody love you, clapping you on the back. Boom, you're in your hotel room.
Got to do something to come down.
Yeah, I'll go down to the bar. What? It's 5 o'clock. Holy shit.
And you guys weren't allowed to smoke weed. They were pee testing you guys back in those days.
Oh,
Like if they would.
that was before the testing, man. Yeah, that was before testing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
shit. You'd come into the dressing room sometimes. It looked like a terrorist just came through. Everybody's laying on the floor and got a towel over their head. God, I miss the old days.
Man, it was wild. The
A
Wild West
lot of
is an
partying,
understatement.
yeah. But then that's why a lot of guys got a cup in that lifestyle. That's why there's a high death rate, high drug and alcoholism rate, and a high divorce rate. It's a tough business.
Certainly was, and is to this day. Things are a little bit different nowadays for the
Oh,
guys
shit,
working
are
on
you
top.
kidding? A little different. Everybody's got their own bus. Forget. Back then, like you said, there was, you had to pay for how many guys would stay in the room. We have three
Yep.
guys in the car, one guy go. Just one guy staying in the room. Everybody else be in the car hiding.
Nowadays, everybody's living
Sleep.
that Lex Luger
Yeah,
lifestyle.
well, that's cool. But looking back at it, Marcus, Mid South, we were all a lot closer back then. You'd all be in the car, you'd be driving together. Hey, how about if I try this with that, and you do this, and then the guy in the backseat, and then I'll do this. And Robert Gibson said, "No, wait," and then we'll do that. And you put together a whole match, and it was a good time. It was a good time in the business. Hard, a lot of driving, but I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the business since I've been in it.
Well, when you
I've
leave,
enjoyed life as long as I've been in it, I think. Especially with all these health issues. Enjoy it while you can, baby.
yes, sir. And Jim, you went out of the WWF in '93 with a bang, though. You went to a European tour right before you left the company, And Meltzer says that you're second in popularity on these tours behind only Hulk Hogan, as far as like the crowd response was concerned. And Jim, you're over there working with Bastion Booger during that period. Do you remember working with him?
Yep, I remember him. I don't really remember the matches or anything, but uh, the character, the hacksaw, just like I said, even though over in Europe they're not USA people, just a 2x4, just being who I am, just resonated. And after I finished with the company, I went over and worked Europe with a lot of smaller companies and had a nice run with the smaller companies over there, the indie shows in Europe. But I had a good report. I had a good report in America. I mean, it's not rocket science. Put me in there with Fidel, whatever, the Cuban assassin. Put me
Yep.
in there with Nikolai Volkov. I remember one time I took a bad bump and Bischoff called me and he goes, Hacksaw, that was the worst pile driver. Brian Adams gave me a pile. Yeah, that's the worst pile driver I ever saw. I said, yeah, that may have been the worst pile driver you ever saw, but everybody in this building is chanting USA right now. What the hell are you talking about? The worst pile driver you ever saw?
Who cares? Yeah.
Jesus Christ. My
It's
record
about
is
more than
101 and 2.
it's about more than the bumps. And yeah, like who cares about records or like,
No,
oh
I
well,
mean, yeah.
you
Who
botched the
cares?
spot.
But a bad bump, yeah. Like it's nowadays. Well, not necessarily nowadays. Even back in our day, a lot of the guys who fly a lot, the people are like this. Where sometimes give them a chance to applaud, give them a chance to absorb, take
Yep.
a big bump,
Sell it.
sell it.
Especially as a
It's
baby
not
face.
rocket science, but it's not rocket science, but it's definitely an art form. And you got to know what you're doing. Like I said, it's just not bumps. Got to have that ring presence. You got to tell a story because everybody can take a bump.
And that's good advice for upcoming wrestlers. And something I really take to heart too is, I want to be good in the ring. Of course I do. But at the same time, it's like I think an awful lot about my character, facial expressions, what I'm going to do or say whenever I get a promo, because really that's where the rubber tends to meet the road in wrestling.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Like I said, a lot of guys can work well, and you're not. I've never thrown a drop kick in my whole career.
And didn't need to.
No,
Unnecessary.
no. Yeah, but of course you got to find your right character too. That's my, I wasn't going to be handsome Jimmy Duggan, so I had to come up with the right gimmick here.
And it certainly worked. And like I said, it worked over here in the UK on this final tour. It must have felt really good for you to go out the door and be getting these massive, by all accounts, massive audience reactions overseas. But looking back on your time, or rather your first run with the company, Jim, anything that you would change about that run?
Yeah, I wouldn't have concentrated so much on my strength and worried more about my weight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, uh, size equates strength. I got up to 310 pounds, 312. 312 was my heaviest, but I was a little sloppy. That's when I started wearing a singlet. I was getting heavy, and I put that singlet on, but I had a 505 bench. Everybody was pushing heavy iron. If I had a chance, and plus I was just partying and eating, go out all night and hit Denny's for breakfast at 5 a.m., and just maybe it didn't do that. If I paid more attention to the business a little bit.
Now, at the time, if you wanted to be on a steroid cycle, I know that the whole thing had happened then, with Vince in the steroid trial and whatnot. Were there workarounds or were there things that guys were doing to stay in that kind of really kind of peak physical condition?
Well, yeah, and I can't say I never took gas, but I never took a steroid cycle.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
I wouldn't even know what that was. Every once in a while, I think it's like maybe Animal Joe would give me a thing of test, a little bottle of test, and a big needle. Oh shit, you know. And especially for injuries. But it did definitely made me stronger. I was bigger and stronger. But I was never like I was never a body guy, so I was like never on a cycle. I'm a big guy anyway. I wear a size 15 ring. I'm relatively a big bone guy anyway, so I didn't really need the gas, but it did help. But it was never like on a cycle or anything. And plus, that's why all those guys are big muscle guys. Your heart is a muscle too. That's why a
Yes.
lot of them are gone, man. It enlarge everybody's heart. All they, your heart's a muscle, and it'll make all your muscles bigger.
Yep. And I mean, you look at a lot of these muscle guys nowadays. Vince McMahon's a good example. He packed a lot of muscle onto a fairly smallish frame. He's a tall guy, but he's not big,
Yeah.
broad shoulder guy naturally. And now we saw the footage of Vince walking around with like a cane at one point. Like a lot of these bodybuilders end up walking around with canes or a
Well,
walker or something like that. It's
well,
unnatural.
you were with me. You saw how they had you guys walked back. I took the golf cart, man. Yeah, it's a physical business, especially guys like myself, Hulkster, Jake, DiBiase. 40 years in the ring, 40 years of pretty much abusing your body. People say it's all fake. No, it's fixed. You know who's going to win or lose, but it's not fake. So when they pick you up and throw you down, they really pick you up and throw you down. So
Yep.
everybody is physically. That comes with the territory.
They always say, well, these wrestlers know how to fall right, and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're getting
Or they
lifted
teach you
7
how to fall. Well, they teach you how to fall,
sure. But if somebody's lifting you 7 feet in the air over their head, some big guy, and then
and
drop
then
you
throw
from
you in
7
the
feet.
water and let you see how that feels. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it doesn't
very physical business, and everybody in the business is a physically tough man or woman. It's
have to be.
a demanding job, but also, that's why back in the day we'd have a fight with somebody. I wouldn't try to do a plumber's job. A plumber shouldn't try to do my job.
That's right.
Because every night you're throwing punches, blocking punches, getting potatoes, giving potatoes. It's yeah.
Physicality is part of your nature, and man, brother, it's such a pleasure to sit down and talk with you here on the Hacksaw Hour, and cool to cover your the end of your run here in '93. We'll be back with the Hacksaw mailbag here in a couple of weeks to answer some fan questions. But Jim, thank you for all the great stories today, man. What a pleasure
Oh,
getting
sure.
to
I don't know how much business we got, but I was rambling away there. Holy smokes!
Yeah, it was
But yeah,
great.
have your brother talk to Magnum about the wreck.
I'm going to. I'm actually going to clip this up and send it to him and tell him to play it during their next recording.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, should be fun. And ladies and gentlemen, that's Hacksaw Jim Duggan for you. Jim, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, Marcus. Good. Well, brother, did you give me a hole when we started this off?
I didn't. I hit you with a hoe in the middle, but let's do it. Let's
Let's go, baby. All right, Marcus. I'll talk to you later, baby. We'll finish up on a good ho.
Oh!
See
See
you,
you guys
everybody.
next time.